Hi, it's Amy from Select Travel Holidays, and I hope you're enjoying our virtual touring and destinations festival. For these presentations, we are really going to focus on destinations right now, as we hop right over to the other side of the world to take a look at both Australia and New Zealand. These presentations are actually a bit of a two-parter because we really wanted you to be able to really sort of delve deep into these incredible destinations, these fantastic countries that for many people are, those sort of big ticket, bucket list items, those once in a lifetime opportunities. Of course, it is possible to combine both Australia and New Zealand on one trip. You could either do a really long one, or you could perhaps pick and choose exactly what you want to do. But for those who perhaps really want to really get under the skin of either New Zealand or Australia, we really wanted to be able to give you an in-depth look. So we have Katie from First Class Holidays giving us two fantastic presentations looking at New Zealand and Australia. Now for this presentation, Katie is going to take us down under to Australia, and she is going to showcase this incredible country with its different provinces, its incredible cities, its rainforests, the Outback, the Aboriginal culture. She's going to showcase all of it in this presentation, and so enjoy a cup of tea, perhaps a Foster's or some Australian wine, and she'll take us through some of the big names you'll know, and perhaps some of the hidden gems that you won't know so much. She's going to showcase all the different sorts of activities you can enjoy, because there's literally something out there for everyone. And so there's really going to be, like I said, more of a destination focus here. But I think it'd be a really interesting guide for you, really inspirational to have, just get insight as to what Australia could offer you. And I really hope you'll find it inspiring, and I'm sure you will actually. But so it's really more of a destination focus. So as I say, it's Katie from First Class Holidays. So they tend to do more tailor-made itineraries. So it's not so much on the escorted touring, although we are able to offer that, obviously. But she'll also suggest other ways in which you can explore Australia, such as a motorhome or self-drive. I hope you'll enjoy this presentation. I'm sure you will. I'm sure it'll give you some ideas if you didn't already have any for exploring Australia. So sit back, relax and enjoy.
Hello there, my name's Katie Daniels and I represent First Class Holidays, and I'm here today to talk to you about the destination of Australia. And before I get started, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about us at First Class Holidays. So we work with our agent partners and we're specialists in tailor-made holidays. Essentially what that means for you is that we will listen to what it is that you want to do. We have so much knowledge and personal experience in the destinations to be able to help you put together an itinerary and build up a holiday specific to your requirements. So we work with our travel agent partners to do that. We've got a lot of people on the ground that we work with in our destinations. We've got a lot of long-standing relationships that we will tap into. And yeah, it's all about listening to you, but using our knowledge and expertise. And in terms of the destinations that we sell, so I'm going to be talking about Australia today, but New Zealand as well, America, Canada and Alaska, and South Africa. So all of those destinations, the holidays that we sell there are all places that you're not just going to go to one place, you're going to be really getting out and exploring the destination and really traveling around. So we can help you put together an itinerary. So with Australia, so just a bit of an overview on Australia. So although it was discovered in the 17th century by the Europeans, it's thought that the Aboriginal settlers arrived about 40,000 years before that. So within the country, there's a lot of Aboriginal influence where you can meet them and listen to their stories. There's a lot of Aboriginal art, and it really is great to experience that. The destination is divided into states and territories. So there's 6 states and 2 territories, each of which I'm going to go through shortly. It's a big country, so there's 3 time zones. As a general theme, Western Australia is 8 hours ahead, Central Australia is 9.5, and Eastern is 10 hours ahead. You can actually fit 32 UKs into Australia, so it just gives you an idea of the sheer size of the country itself. But really, overall, as well as it kind of be a lot of outback in the centre, a lot of barren land, it's really made up for you to experience the cosmopolitan cities, the stunning beaches, the rainforest, and the outback as well. You need an ETA to get into Australia, which is an electronic travel authorization. It's a tourist visa, really easy. We can help you get it. We do it online. It's valid for 3 months, so it's really easy to include that within your itinerary. So this is Australia, and you can see all the different states and territories divided. So the first one is Western Australia. It's the biggest of the states and territories, and the capital of Western Australia is Perth. The Northern Territory with the capital of Darwin. Queensland with the capital being Brisbane. You've got New South Wales with the capital being Sydney. Within New South Wales, you have the Australian Capital Territory, which is where Canberra is based, and Victoria, with Melbourne being the capital of there. And then at the bottom, you've got Tasmania, with the capital being Hobart. And then moving on to South Australia, with the capital being Adelaide. So as you can see, it's very vast. I'm going to talk you through in a second the different states and territories, what you can see, what you can do, but we can help you plan an itinerary very easily. So firstly, we are heading to Western Australia. So you can see on the map in the bottom right-hand corner, Perth on the west coast. Perth is very popular for people who have moved over from the UK, so there's a very big expat community out there. The state itself, it covers a third of Australia, and it's got a 12,000 kilometres of really stunning, picturesque white sand coastline. So that coastline there is actually the Indian Ocean, so it's really stunning. The majority of it is certainly in the centre, which is what you find with the majority of our states and territories, is arid outback. And the population, the majority of it is concentrated to the southwest region. So around Perth, around its suburbs, down to some of the wine regions around there, and then dotted up and down the coast really. The northern part of Western Australia is known as the Kimberley region, which is real arid outback territory. Think Crocodile Dundee. It's very much like that there. For the state itself, it's got some really world-class wineries. As I mentioned earlier, the coral coastline with some great diving and snorkeling. And then a little bit further up in the north is home to the gold rush as well. So I'll start with Perth. So Perth is known as one of the most isolated cities of the world, purely because you have the Indian Ocean to the left, and to the right you've got all of that outback region. And it's very tropical. It's a beautiful city and beautiful suburbs, really kind of your ideal, which is why you get a lot of people ending up moving out there, because the towns and the city of Perth itself and the place all around it has some beautiful accommodation, great city centre. It's been voted the 7th most livable city in the world, so it is very popular. And everything's so accessible. So from the central business district, you can get from to the wine region, so that all of the big kind of wineries about 25 minutes from the central business district. You get to the beach about 20 minutes from there as well. Within the city, you've got tons of shopping, incredible kind of arts with museums and outdoor activities. Food, nightlife is very popular as well. And then once you leave Perth, about 3 hours south is the Margaret River. You may have heard of it because it's Australia's premium wine region and produces some incredible wine that they export as well. And around there, you've got tons of surf coast. So the beaches are really stunning. Very popular for surfing. But then behind this coast, you've got bushland. You can get out onto the river itself, get kayaking, go on boats. You can go mountain biking. There's a lot of trails and treks and things. You can get caving, and there's lots of outdoor activities to do in Margaret River area. And then about 11 miles off the coast of Perth is an island called Rottnest Island. It's a completely vehicle-free island, but it's really, really stunning. Real picturesque white sand beaches. There's 63 on a tiny little island itself. Real turquoise waters, great for snorkeling and getting out onto the beach. And really popular. You can even go skydiving there if you want. But it's home to the famous quokkas. You may have seen a picture of a quokka. They are very cute. They're very picture friendly with their cute little faces. So that's how you'll find them in Rottnest Island. A little bit further away from Perth then. So firstly, you have the Pinnacles Desert. So we're heading north from Perth, about 2 hours south. And it really is kind of outback territory. You've got these in the desert itself. You've got these huge limestone rock formations, very, very ancient. 25,000 years ago, they were thought to have been formed. You've got a national park, a very kind of barren desert national park, home to the sand dunes. So you have kind of the yellow desert, the white sand dunes, but you still got that beautiful Indian Ocean backdrop in the background. So kind of offers a lot for people wanting to visit there. A lot of people will tend to do a bit of a self drive up that west coast from Perth as an option for a holiday. So very popular. One of the places that is perfect for diving is the Ningaloo Reef. It's a World Heritage listed site, and it's where, as well as the turtles, you can swim. It's one of the only places in the world, alongside a couple of others, where you can swim with whale sharks, humpback whales, manta rays, and it really is stunning. For 500 species of fish there as well. So you can get out onto the reef, you can stay by the coast. You can go snorkeling, you can go diving. There's loads of different trips to go out and about and explore the reef. Right at the top of Western Australia, on the northwest coast, is Broome, and that's known as the gateway to the Kimberley region. So you still, again, got the Indian Ocean, the stunning beaches. It's one of the only places you can actually get a camel ride on the beach. Very humid, very tropical. Lot of kind of like you can get out and about and get and eat. There's lots of dining, al fresco dining that you can do. But it's where people will stay before they then enter the Kimberley region, which is the Outback, Crocodile Dundee type region. You can see in the map, right at the top of Western Australia is then the border into the Northern Territory. It's also known as the top end. Again, it's the most barren of all areas. It's a huge space of Aboriginal land, or it's very dry, it's very barren, and it is the pure outback region within Australia. On the coast, so you have Darwin at the top, which is the capital, and along the coast, it's home to saltwater crocodiles, sharks, box jellyfish. So it's a very interesting coastal part there. But once you get away from the coast, further into the Northern Territory, it's home to Alice Springs, to Uluru, which is Ayers Rock. There's lots of national park, huge mountain ranges that you can explore as well. So firstly, we'll talk about Darwin. So Darwin itself is a boardwalk city, a boardwalk town. It's got a thriving market scene. Most are kind of open air markets that you can go and visit. One that actually is on the beach, which you can go and visit, which is great. It's very laid back, the city, the town itself. There's open air cinemas. There's loads of really cool bars, restaurants. It's a backpacker's paradise as well. Quite a lot of Aboriginal culture based there as well. You can go to take a visit to Crocosaurus Cove, so you can see in the top right hand picture. So you can dive in. So where the crocs are, it's a kind of see-through protected place that you can dive into, and it feels like you're actually swimming with these huge crocodiles, which is an interesting experience if you want to do it. And then once you head into the national park, so the two most popular national parks are Kakadu and Litchfield. Kakadu's about 3 hours drive east from Darwin. A huge Aboriginal area. So lots of art. You can visit the Aboriginal sites and meet the Aboriginals and get told lots of different stories and things. You can do little boat trips and cruise through the wetlands. You can swim in some of the waterfalls there as well. In terms of the waterfalls, you've got to be quite careful in terms of you've got to make sure they're signposted to say that they're actually safe to swim in, because lots of creatures that end up in some of the waterfalls. And then Litchfield National Park is 2 hours drive south from Darwin. Again, a little bit smaller, so it's waterfalls, really stunning ranges, but home to the famous termite mounds. You can see the middle picture on the right, how big these termite mounds are, and you're just driving along on this kind of barren road, and you can see them all, and you can pull over and you can see the termite mounds. It's quite interesting to see. And then the famous Red Centre. So it's called the Red Centre because the the colour of the land is this kind of dark, deep red brown colour. Firstly, you have Uluru, which is a huge rock, Ayers Rock formation. The bottom left picture, you can just see how huge Ayers Rock is. It's about 5.5 hours drive southwest from Alice Springs. So it's right down at the bottom of the Red Centre. And the best time to visit is in sunrise and sunset. So both of those times over Ayers Rock, you can see the colours completely change over the rock once the sun is either setting or rising. Loads of Aboriginal culture, history. You can't actually climb the rock anymore, but there's loads of things you could do. You might want to get Harley Davidson, drive around the rock, but yeah, loads of different ways to see it. And then another place is Catatuta, which is also known as the Olgas. You'll see in the bottom right hand picture. It's about 18 miles away. It's a real sacred Aboriginal site. You can get up and explore. There's lots of kind of trails and tours that you can book onto. Or you can do a helicopter flight even. You can actually do a helicopter flight of Ayers Rock as well, which is very popular. So yeah, that's the Red Centre. Once we leave the Northern Territory, we head into the top right-hand corner of Australia and into Queensland. Queensland is the most tropical of all of our states and territories. It's home to about 1,000 ecosystems, so lots of different diverse weather. They get the most intense of seasons here, especially in the summer. It's very hot, very humid. They've got the rainforest as well as some really stunning beaches. It's home to 5 World Heritage listed sites, some incredible rainforests away from the coast, and some wetlands as well. But it really is home to some of the most stunning tropics and beaches, the most gorgeous lagoons, and it really is kind of a hot, humid destination to visit. There's quite a few international airports in Queensland. So Brisbane is located down in the bottom of Queensland. You have Cairns, which is located near the top coastal. And then you've got the Gold Coast, which is not too far from Brisbane as well. And it's very popular for self-drive. So quite often people do a drive from Brisbane all the way up to Cairns or vice versa. They might even start a little bit further into New South Wales, where Sydney is, all the way up that east coast. But it is very popular for self-drives. So I'll just run through different parts of of Queensland. So firstly, Brisbane. So Brisbane is a really lovely city. You've got these huge kind of high-rise, very modern buildings. It's home to 300 days of sunshine a year. Again, very popular for expats heading to Brisbane. The city itself is about 20 minutes from the international airport, so it's really accessible. And there's actually a free bus which loops around the inner city. It's all about being out and about. So in the parks, out al fresco dining, eating, drinking. The shopping scene's incredible. They do lots of festivals and outdoor music nights, and it really is kind of a vibing city. Good kind of base yourself before you're heading out and about. And then not too far, so an hour's drive south from Brisbane is the Gold Coast. If you've ever watched I'm a Celebrity, So this is where they are based before they head into the jungle. It's got its own domestic airport, as I mentioned earlier, but the beaches are absolutely incredible along this coastline. Very high rise still, quite more kind of bigger high rise buildings, but home to some really luxurious hotels and golf courses. Actually, the hotel that they stay after, before and after they leave I'm a Celebrity, the real kind of is the Versace hotel. They that's based in the Gold Coast. It's got a really cool food scene, very trendy, very modern. They've all got their own kind of craft beers and things going along. You can do lots of adrenaline things here, skydiving, bungee jumping, all that along the beach. You can actually skydive straight back onto the beach, I think, here as well, actually. And then north from Brisbane, about an hour and a half drive, is the Sunshine Coast. A lot less, as you can see, a lot less high rise, not as big and bold as the Gold Coast, a lot quieter, but really like a little bit more fashionable. So you've got loads of shopping, but kind of high-end shopping. It really is kind of the place to be seen in some of the restaurants and the bars and the cocktail bars and things. All the way along this coast is really popular for whale watching, kind of along the Sunshine Coast, especially in around Brisbane. July to October is the time to go whale watching because you've got all the migrating whales. About 70-minute ferry from Brisbane is a place called Morton Island, which is home to a very, very popular hotel called the Tangalooma Island Resort. But it's a national park land, so all of the accommodation is beachfront. It's kind of hut style accommodation. It's where you will get the dolphins. You can actually get in the water, swim and feed with all the wild dolphins, so they're not kind of captured or anything. There's lots of kind of sunken wrecks, kind of man created wrecks that you can get down and snorkel with all the marine life, and really is incredible. Um, Another one of the islands to visit is actually a lot further up north, about 100, well, 186 miles north of Brisbane, and a 50-minute ferry. A popular place is Fraser Island. It's the largest sand island in the world. It's about 120 kilometres. It's a mix of the most beautiful beaches, but also kind of inland, these incredible kind of rainforests and lake formations as well. It's home to the most purest breed of the dingo, so you will definitely be spotting them there as well. Again, really good for whale watching as well. But there's a really cool kind of trek that you can do called the Fraser Island Great Walk. It's a 60-mile walk. You don't have to do the whole lot, but it's really good for people who want to kind of camp en route as well. That's very popular. Or you can just explore kind of some of the sand dunes and the beaches. There's very popular for these kind of adrenaline four-wheel drive that you can do there as well. And then the more of the island. So the Whitsundays is located here as well. 74 islands make up the Whitsunday Islands. The most stunning turquoise waters. You will find the most stunning diving and snorkeling on the reefs there. It's not too far from the Great Barrier Reef. And again, inland, you've got some real kind of dense rainforest to explore as well. Hamilton Island is the most kind of that has the most amount of people on it, and is home to the domestic airport as well. And again, it's all about getting out onto the water, exploring, finding some kind of secluded bays, hidden beaches, snorkeling, diving, and getting out and exploring on the coast. Further up Queensland, you have, as I mentioned, Cairns earlier. So Cairns itself, the actual city of Cairns isn't, I probably wouldn't stay there. There's so much nicer places to stay at there. It's home to the international airport. So I recommend you flying into Cairns. About kind of between 20 minutes and 40 minutes, you've got some really good coastal destinations, which are a lot better. It's a lot more of a business city, I would say, Cairns. So the two towns I would recommend to stay in are Port Douglas and Palm Cove. And they are the gateway to get to the Great Barrier Reefs. It's where a lot of people will stay to then do trips out onto the Great Barrier Reef. It's a very kind of resort holiday style place. So there's a lot of spa resorts, very relaxing kind of hotels, very chilled out. And like I say, it's really easy to get there from Cairns. And then the Daintree rainforest is about an hour north of Port Douglas. So the oldest tropical rainforest in the world. You can get into the rainforest, which has this incredible river with saltwater crocodiles. There's loads to get out and do. Mossman Gorge, you can get out zip lining, do loads of different tours and things. And then the other thing that is very popular is the Kuranda Scenic Train and Sky Rail. So it's located just outside Cairns, and you can get this incredible cableway right up into the forest above the Barron Gorge National Park. So the views are really incredible. You then explore the rainforest, and then you get the train back down again. So it's a really cool way to see the rainforest. Once you leave Queensland, you head into New South Wales, which is where the famous the city of Sydney is located. Lots to see and do in Sydney itself. But there's loads of other relaxed coastal resorts as well as beaches. There's even ski resorts in the far south of the New South Wales. It's home to the Blue Mountains National Park, loads of incredible wine regions, and it's about 9 hours drive from the Gold Coast. So if you think up in Queensland, you then can do a self-drive all the way down and stop en route. Right at the top, you have Byron Bay, loads of lovely different resorts all the way down to Sydney, and then you head down into Victoria. Beach destinations. So Byron Bay, I mentioned, it's about 45 minutes from the Gold Coast and one of the most northerly places within this state. And Byron Bay is a really cool, it's a very famous beach destination. Got a really laid back kind of hippie vibe to it. Lots of street performers and foods and lots of surfing dudes and cool bars and places to go. Another beach destination a little bit further south from Byron Bay is Coffs Harbour, and then the Sapphire Coast. So the Sapphire Coast is about right down in the south, so about 6 hours drive south from Sydney, 3 hours from Canberra, which is the capital of Australia. Away from the coast, you've got loads of mountain biking. Whale watching again is very popular. Within this region, you've got the Hunter Wine Valley region, which is about 3.5 hours drive from Sydney. You can either do day trips there from Sydney, but it is quite a long day there. I would definitely recommend, if you've got the time, to go and explore and stay in one of the incredible hotels within Hunter Valley. You can do a tour around the winery. You can even get a hot air balloon flight up into the watch the sunrise. It really is a stunning region. And then I mentioned the ski destinations. So not a lot of people realise that there's skiing readily available. About 6 hours south of Sydney, there's a couple of main ski resorts, Perisher or Mount Thredbo as well, which is very popular. So yeah, not a lot of people really realise that. Sydney itself, the city centre is about 20 minutes from the international airport. Really easy to get around the city. There's even water ferries that kind of operate around the marinas. It is such a fab city. There's so much to see and do. I would definitely recommend that you stay here at least 3 or 4 days to explore it. You've got the Rocks Old Town with loads of cute, quaint little markets on the cobble streets. You obviously got the Harbour Bridge. You can see at the top of the Harbour Bridge, people are climbing up. You can do a climb any time of day, but definitely the kind of sunrise and sunset climb is very popular. Loads of festivals and stuff going on, light festivals and things around the harbour. You've obviously got the Opera House as well. We did a great tour in the Opera House, which was lovely to kind of see inside it as well. And you've got Taronga Zoo as well, so a little ferry ride round to the zoo, the very popular zoo. And then about 2 hours drive west of Sydney is the Blue Mountains. So it's 1 million hectares, and it's really kind of huge rock formations, mountainous regions, right up until rainforest as well. There's lots of Aboriginal influence up here. It's home to the Three Sisters rock formation, which is, you can kind of see it in the top right hand picture. Definitely worth either a day trip out from Sydney, or a lot of people will go for a little bit longer because there's lots of trails and you can hire bikes and get out and do a tour. And there's loads of beaches around here as well. So Bondi obviously is one of the most famous beaches in the world, I think. Is worth a visit from Sydney. Doesn't take too long to get there from the city centre. It's about it's about 20-30 minutes, something like that. There's a really cool coastal walk away from the beach, which takes you all around the coast from Bondi Beach to Coogee Beach, which is a really cool walk. Famous obviously for surfing. You can even do surf lessons if you want. Loads of restaurants and things. And then you've got Manly Beach as well, which is less busier, not as famous, I would say. Again, really famous for surfing, loads of walks and bike rides and things. And then once you leave New South Wales, we head into Victoria. Really famous for a coastal drive. The coasts were a lot more jagged along here, so a lot more rougher, rockier. So you can see, but it's really famous for its food and wine. Loads of sporting events within here, Victoria as well. You got the skiing as well, which kind of is in the same range as the New South Wales, the southern ski resorts is not too far from the Victoria ones. Famous Murray River, the Grampians National Park, and Phillip Island as well. So firstly, Melbourne is the capital, so it is the mecca for trendsetters and cuisine lovers. So people who really want to be seen in some of the most famous restaurants in the world will be found in Melbourne. Very stylish. It's very kind of an old versus new. So you've got these huge skyscrapers, and there's some real kind of old Victorian architecture as well. Huge cafe culture getting out and about, and they've got lots of markets and art exhibitions and lots of really cool places to see. And also it's a sporting capital of the world. F1, tennis, cricket, lots of things to be seen in Melbourne. And then about 90 minutes south of Melbourne is Phillip Island. So incredible landscape as well, but it's famous for the penguin parade. So about 32,000 penguins live around here. There is a viewing platforms that you can go and they'll be coming in, and it's a really kind of cool thing to go and see. They also, away from the penguins, have a koala conservation centre here as well as boat trips and clifftop walks and things on the island itself. So it's definitely worth a visit over to Phillip Island. And then once you leave Melbourne, you can do the Great Ocean Road self-drives, which is very popular. The Great Ocean Road actually runs from Melbourne into Adelaide, and can be done in about 4 or 5 days. But again, it's very jagged coastline, which you can see the 12 Apostles, which is very famous. There isn't 12 anymore rocks. You can see in the bottom right hand picture the 12 Apostles, but it's a very popular stop. And yeah, there's lots of stops you can do away from the coast. There's loads of kind of wineries and river trips that you can see, and it really is picturesque there. When we then move off land into Tasmania, so there are flights from mainland Australia, or you can get a car ferry from Melbourne to Tasmania. And the whole point of Tasmania, the history of Tasmania, is the convicts were all put over onto Tasmania. There's a huge history with convicts, and there's lots of places you can go and visit and find out all about where they were taken to and what happened with them. And it really is taking it back to basics. Loads of open space, huge, stunning mountain ranges. The self drives are incredible. Loads of wildlife. It's actually home to the Tasmanian devil, which you can see one there. So yeah, and the cities itself are very kind of quaint, cobbled streets, very kind of heritage, Edwardian type cities. But it really is away from the cities. It's all about the snow-capped mountains. The vast wilderness, etc. So you can see a map of Tasmania and the example of kind of a self drive that can be done. So you can see that there's way more that can be done in just a very quick day trip. If you're going to go to Tasmania, I'll definitely give it its own time, at least 3 or 4 days to get out and really explore it. We can do different tours around Tasmania if you don't feel comfortable driving it, or we can hire a car for you and give you help you put together an itinerary. So you've got firstly Cradle Mountain National Park. So again, this is all completely taking it back to the natural surroundings, getting out, abseiling, canyoning. There's loads of hiking and treks and walks you can do. You can do scenic flights. You can even kind of do abseiling and things like that if you want to. But there's 2 kind of main entrances, which is easy to get to. Launceston, which is one of the oldest cities in Australia, very quaint, lots of art galleries and wineries just outside, and very kind of small, not heavily kind of built up city. The Fraser National Park is really stunning. Some of the bays, again, some of those real kind of turquoise colours and white sands, especially in their summer. It does get warm temperatures. You can get into the waters. Very famous for its seafood. You can get some beautiful restaurants there. And it's all kind of really laid back, kind of scattered lodge accommodation that you can book into here. Again, really famous for its whale watching with the whales May to July and September to November as well. And then Hobart, so not too far from Hobart, about 90 minutes away, is the Port Arthur Convict Penitentiary that you can visit. And it's got loads of kind of, again, low-key town, very cool art scene, restaurants a la carte outside, that you can kind of enjoy all the dining and outside living as well. Moving away from Tasmania, then we're into South Australia. So this is the most kind of dramatic of the coastline, I would say. I mentioned earlier the Great Ocean Road, which goes from Melbourne up to Adelaide, you'll see on the map. But away from that, you've got some incredible wine regions, some really kind of big mountain ranges to get out and really explore. Again, very good for spotting whales as well. Adelaide itself is just a really old, quaint city. It's got loads of kind of cute little laneways and side streets and very cobbled streets full of all these kind of small like restaurants and bars and things. Got a really nice vibe to it. There's a big central market, but also loads of kind of cute, quaint ones that happen alongside those as well. Really full of historic buildings and nice to just walk around for the day and explore, I would say. Sit out and enjoy a nice glass of wine. About an hour north is the Barossa Valley, a huge wine region. Again, you can either go and visit for the day and do a tour, or we can book. You can actually stay in some of the wineries and some of the hotels around here as well. And then about 8 miles off the coast is Kangaroo Island. So not only is it home to kangaroos, you've got lots of sea lions and wildlife to explore, lots of native animals to Kangaroo Island, but also some really incredible walks and places to visit as well. So definitely worth a visit. About 5 hours drive north of Adelaide, so this is right at the top of the region. You're then heading into kind of more barren outback territory, which is kind of heading to. You can actually do a train which takes you from Adelaide all the way up to Alice Springs, kind of Ayers Rock region, and that whole kind of territory is all outback territory. Loads of Aboriginal history again. You can visit the Flinders Ranges, which has this, I mean, it really is kind of outback territory. And another cool place to visit is a place called Kuranda, which is an opal capital. So it's a kind of huge mining settlement, and the whole town is built with all these, because it's so warm there, is built underground. So you can visit a home that's built kind of into the cave and underground. All of their shops and all their restaurants and everything are all very, very unique. There's actually the train trip that I mentioned that it does actually do a stop at Kuranda, so it's definitely worth a visit. Talking of the trains, there's a few different rail journeys that you can do in Australia. The one I mentioned, which stops in Alice Springs, also goes all the way up to Darwin. It's the Garn train, it's called. So you can do different stops along the way. Essentially, it does Darwin, Alice Springs, Adelaide. You can do half of that if you want to. So you can do Adelaide up to Alice Springs and then do a self-drive all the way up to Darwin, or the other way around. But the train is very, very popular. It's been on a lot of different programs and things recently, where you can kind of see, but a real kind of high-end cabins, great way to see the outback, lots of different experiences that they'll stop off and you can book into. And the other popular rail journey is the Indian Pacific. So the Indian Ocean, Perth, right through to the Pacific Ocean, to Sydney, with different stop-offs along the way. It's a four-day train, again, really high-end. Food and drink is incredible, luxurious cabins, but definitely for train buses, it's definitely a must do. Again, we work with a number of different touring companies. So if you're not comfortable with self-driving yourself and you'd rather book onto an escorted group tour, we work with a number of different touring companies. Or if you are comfortable and if it's a self-drive you want to do, we can help you plan the whole itinerary. With a motorhome especially, with booking campsites and the kind of technicalities of having a motorhome, we can help you with that too. And then we will be putting a whole itinerary specific to you, personable to you. Every holiday we sell is different. But what we will then do is put the itinerary in a step-by-step, day-to-day itinerary. So it's easy for you to kind of navigate, and that will go in a lovely ticket wallet and will be sent to you just before you go on your holiday. And that's about it. Hopefully, it's kind of inspired you to start thinking about a holiday to Australia. Do speak to your travel agent if there is anything you need. We work very closely with them, and we'll be happy to help you with any itineraries to Australia. Thanks a lot.
So I really hope you enjoyed that presentation. I personally felt like there was a lot of really great inspiration and information there. You know, it always makes you want to like pack your suitcase already. And so I hope you enjoyed that. If you do have any questions or want to find out more about Australia, or perhaps, you know, get booking, or if you just want to know further information, give us a call on 01234 326 778, or of course you can also email us sales@cruiseselect.co.uk, and our lovely team will be happy to help you. But again, thank you so much for your time in watching the presentation. Hope you enjoyed it. So I like to think that we're becoming perhaps the answer to Jane McDonald, Joanna Lumley, who knows. But for the meantime, take care and we hope to hear from you soon.